Good evening and welcome to VSL Season 1 for the penultimate round here at Interlagos. We have a fair few drivers already on track, making their way on their first flyer here at Brazil. As we already know, F1 is already sealed and ready to go, as Matt Tivos was our champion 2 races ago. It's still all to play for second place between Evio Mata and Neo. They are separated by just 5 points, I believe it is. So still a long way to go with these 2 races to fight it out for second place in F1. However, for F2 we find there is still a 5-way fight for the driver's title. So we're not too sure which driver will come out on top, but we are sure for certain that Kyle is the driver leading the way. He has a substantial lead and has had a substantial lead for quite some time. He has a lead of 29 points currently. So if he was to finish, from the looks of things, he would be crowned champion, as he has a 29-point lead and 25 points for a win, or 27 is the maximum number of points you can get. So he just has to finish. Carl finishes and Carl is crowned champion. But we know, who knows at this point in time. Where Metzer is currently in second, 241, and it's only 1 point adrift is Waresa, and Davis is just 2 points further, and then Robo Jeep is a further 11 from Davis. So the gap from first to fifth is currently 43 points, with 54 left on the table to be gathered, as you get a point for fastest lap in the race, and you get a point for starting on pole position. Currently, 3 drivers have set their times at the moment of Davis, Flexi and Metzer, 2 F2 and 1 F1 drivers. We're still waiting for a few other drivers to come out. There are only 9 drivers on the grid, 6 F2, 3 F1. So in F1, if you finish, you get yourself a podium. So that's between Neo, Evio Armada and Flexi. So the idea here is to see what strategy these drivers go for. Previously I did a race last week, and that a 1-stop was the perfect choice, but I chose the softs to the mediums. As you see, a yellow in sector 2. We're right on board with Mada as he comes down this back straight towards turn 4. Yeah, strategy wise, you can do the 1-stop from softs to super softs to mediums, but you can also try the super softs to mediums with the new patch for tyre temperatures, and tyre temperatures are very key at saving tyre wear as well. So we'll keep on board with Mata. He's currently on a set of mediums at the moment, so opting for the hardest compound we have here at Interlagos. Neo is on a set of super softs. It's just coming into the second sector, so we'll keep on board with Mata as he comes round the final corner. It looks like he's either invalidated or he's just starting a lap. Yeah, he must be starting a lap. He ran very slowly at the end, but he is going to set a 1 minute 11. That must have been invalidated. It was indeed, so he's going to go out again for another one. We'll keep on board with our star in shining of Neo across the line. So 1 minute 7.1, but that was invalidated, so it doesn't get set. So very tricky, especially the Astana S's, to keeping your lap validated, as Ahmed has retired from the session. The looks of things, it was in sector 3, so we'll see if we can find a destroyed Mercedes or unless he wants to start at the back of the grid, which he will do, but he also will be starting in the top 10. So he'll be strategically choosing a decent set of tyres, a fresh set of tyres in the race, as there are only 9 drivers competing. Yeah, constructors is near enough wrapped up itself. Haas are currently storming away with it with 300 points due to the running form from Neo. Ferrari are 62 points adrift. It's still not all over, but it might as well be wrapped up, as Matt come across the line again. Lap was invalidated once again, so not many drivers get doing it very well, as Kyle goes second on the super softs ahead of Meta, as Neo retires as well. He'll be starting at the very back. Not too sure where he retired it, may have retired it in the pits, but he will be opting to start on a fresh set of tyres as well. Metza's the only driver on the softs at the moment, setting times. He's 3/10 off Kyle, and then a further 7/10 off Davis, who sits on pole. We'll see if Mata can finally set it. Oh, where the hell is he going? That was a bit of lag. He tried to do a massive corner cut. Caught you there, Matt. You tried to do a little bit of a Kimmy and trying to go an alternative route back to the track. So you got forced back. It may have been may have had a little slide, and he's bailed out and into the pits. Probably had a little slide on the exit of turn 11. I've had that a few times before, especially if your tyre starts to overheat. You lose the rear and you end up going flying up onto the grass verge towards where 13 would be. At the moment, 5 drivers have set their times. Wyrace is currently the slowest on a set of supers as well, with a 108.9. He's a tenth slower than Metza on the harder tyre, and he's a further 4/10 slower. He's 4/10 slower than Kyle, and he's 8/10 slower than Davis. We'll see what Robo Jeep can do. He's still in this championship fight, but only just. Kyle goes quick as well, a 108.1, but he's just beat by Davis with a 108.0. So he must have had the slipstream of Metza going up towards the start-finish line. So it takes away pole from Metza. So we'll keep on board with Robo Jeep. Coming through the middle of the sector now. Very intricate corners, especially through this section. Now the run up to the second sector split round turn 12. Now up the hill to 13, and now on this very long fast section of corners with 2 corners, but it's flat out all the way. Try and keep as close to the pit entry as you can across the line. Where does it put him? Puts him P4, crucially ahead of Kyle and his championship rivals of Wyrace as well. But that's a 108.4. That's only a 10th shy of Flexi, but he did set his time on the softs, so he's also 4.5 tenths slower than Davis, who is on the same tyres. Just so you know, season 2 sign-ups are live, so if you are watching and not part of this league, be sure to head over to the Twitter of @VSL_PS4 and get yourself signed up for next season. Only one driver yet to set a time, and it's still EBR Mada on the set of supers. So all drivers opting to come out on a set of supers. It could be a wet start or even a wet interval in the race. Not given any feedback on the weather, so who knows. what is going to happen in this race coming. So all drivers will be on the supers at the moment if they set a quick lap time. It's up to Metzer and Flexi to improve if they want to start on the softest compounded tyres. We'll see if EVR Matter can finally get a lap in. Coming round the final corner, he's dived straight back into the pits. So he's probably going to not set a time. Start in second in front of Neo in the F1 series. Armida was starting in sixth in the F1 as well, in the F2 should I say. And from intel from the drivers, we are getting a wet race, so all drivers will be wanting to qualify on the supers just to put out their quickest time of all, as Sam goes even faster with a 107.3. He is in F1, so he'll be starting on pole for them, and Davis still sticks on pole for F2. Metzer coming out on a fresh set of supers as well. Y-Racer on another set of supers, going very slowly, so he might have invalidated his lap time. He is running in low ERS. You'd think you'd run in a higher ERS if you were pushing for a lap. He lets his speed teammate of Davis through, and hopefully he might even get a tow from that Ferrari coming up to the start. Oh, nearly runs very wide, close to the wall, coming up to the start finish line. Going incredibly slowly, not too sure why. We have 3 minutes left. Maybe that running wide invalidated his lap time. Evian Mada looks like he's sticking in the pits. Probably wants to start. I'm not too sure why he'd want to start in 7th if it's going to be a wet race. You'd think he'd be out there trying to set a lap time and push himself further up the field to try and get in front of these F2 drivers. It's going to be tricky to get through these if it is wet. We'll see if any drivers improve. Metzer is already improving in the on those super softs. He set a 1 minute 8.1, so is his fastest on supers. Can he improve? He did improve. He did go 7 tenths quicker, but the lap was invalidated. He has to go for another one, but he can just push anything and everything out of these tyres, as they will not be needed for the start of the race. Now coming through this tricky section of corners of 8, and now turn 9, up the hill towards a very sharp right-hander of turn 10. Keep close to the apex and then run a little bit wide onto the curbing if needs be. Now into turns 11. Sometimes we want to take curb into that, but Metzer opted not to. Now up the hill towards 13 and 14. Can he finally get a lap time on these supers? Will he be able to knock Davis as he goes into the 1 minute 7.9s? And he does. He goes into 1 minute 7.4. That's a fantastic lap time from Metzer, showing off his pace here at Interlagos. Metzer's got to find 5 tenths, as Metzer calls it quits, and thinks that is enough to start him on pole and get that bonus point. We'll see if Davis can improve. He's going very slowly. That's the Alpha of Flexi through. On board with Robo Jeep. He is on a lap. Coming through, just finished the first sector split. Now up this little straight up towards turn 6, 7 and turn 8. It runs very wide off the racing line, going on the exit of 8, now into 9. Not too sure whether it'll improve. We'll see what the time is coming through this second sector split. Around this long left-hander of 11. Y-Racer is retired. He won't be taking any further part in qualifying. Robo Jeep's running very slowly out the exit of that corner. Yeah, he's running incredibly slowly. He will be able to make it across the line to start one more lap. He must have had a lap invalidation, or felt that he was not going to improve when he crossed that second sector split. So now we'll keep on board with him He is the only driver other than Sam who is a little bit further up the head, so we'll keep him on with Sam first. Matt is out there on the supers as well, so he's 45 seconds in. We'll keep him on with Flexi then. He's going to be first across the line when the clock clicks over to end qualifying session. Can he improve on that 107.3? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure he won't get knocked down off pole position for F1. We'll see as he comes towards the line. Does he improve? He does indeed by 800ths of a second, so 107.302. We'll go back to Evio Mata. He sets a time, but only a 1 minute 8.9. Puts him ahead of Y Racer, but that is all he's going to be doing. We're now back on board with RoboG. Comes towards the final couple of corners. Now up the hill for turns 13 and 14. Can he improve? Can he knock Davis down into third? Can he even topple Metzer with a 10? He has to find a second though. That's a very quick time for Metzer. 107, 108. He does improve, but I think he sticks in third for the F2 series. So here we have it then. There's our classification for this VSL race here at Brazil. We have Flexi on pole for F1, then we have Metzer on pole for F2. Davis starting on second for F2 with RoboG in third. Kyle in fourth. Evio Mata taking second for F1 should I say. Y Racer in fifth, and then Ahmed in sixth. And Neo, who's been smashing these last couple of races, is starting at the very back of the grid, setting no time whatsoever. So I was informed it was going to be a wet race. It doesn't look very wet to me, unless the rain comes towards the midpoint. I see dark clouds glooming over, but I don't see any sprinkles of rain at the moment. So it could be a rain forecast further on, but this could benefit. The driver that could benefit the most is Mata, who's starting on those softs. So we have a dry start on the formation lap. It is looking very gloomy, so rain could come into play later on. As we know, Brazil is known for its showers, known for rain in the real F1 races. We've got to see if these drivers don't get disqualified, because Flexi did pull away. I don't know what that Red Bull's doing. And he's in the wall. No, the Toro Rosso is in the wall. RoboG, Metzer, Major Davis and Evio Mata all disqualified from the session. Fantastic, just what you want to see. So they're going to be starting on the grid with very cold tyres. Just a quick look at the two drivers that didn't set a lap time of Ahmed and Neo. See what tyres they'll be starting on. Ahmed's opted for the softs and Neo has opted for the supers, so he'll be very quick off the line coming at the start of this race. Yeah, only two drivers starting on the middle compound of the softs, and the rest are starting on the supers. How far can these super softs go? Will Kyle do a Liverpool and absolutely bottle his chance of a title, or will Kyle will be named the F2 VSL champion come the end of these 36 laps as the drivers start to line up on the grid for this Brazilian Grand Prix. Now, can Haas wrap up the championship now? Coming on to this race, 5 red lights. Lights are out here, and away we go for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Excellent start from Sam. Keeps P1, but it might be Metzer and Davis going side by side into the centre S's. Davis has the inside into turn 2, but Metzer has the inside for 3. And now they go side by side up to the next straight. Oh, a little bit of contact between these, nearly 3 wide between Robojeep getting involved as well, and Robojeep tries to hang it round the outside into turn 4, gives the place to Kyle as he runs wide. Metzer holds on to P2 with Davis in 3rd. Kyle is now up to 4th with that mistake from Robojeep. Y-Racer in 6th. Neo getting off to a great start, jumping the 2 drivers starting on the harder compound of EV Armada and Ahmed starting as at the back. So see how far Flexi can pull away from this grid. We see a little bit of contact further behind between... Oh, that's a little bit of lag between Neo and Y-Racer. I'm not too sure what's going on there. They look like they're going side by side, but... Oh, and there's carbon fibre flying in everywhere, and Neo is through. Not too sure what happened there, but we know this game is not very good on its online. So we end lap 1. We have Flexi in 1st, Metzer 2nd. He's pulled a gap to Davis in 3rd of 8 tenths. We have Kyle on the tail of Davis going into the centre S's. Then we have Robojeep, who lost the place to Kyle's teammate of Neo. So see if Neo can start forcing his way through this traffic that is blocking him. But Kyle has got a fantastic run on Davis going into turn 4. Davis covers off the racing line sensibly, and now going up the hill towards turn 6. Will Kyle have a better run on Davis? You don't want to be making a move there, but keeps it back in 4th. We have his teammate, and Kyle optimistic going up the inside of Davis into turns 8. Doesn't get it done this time. He does have his teammate behind him. Will team orders come into play between the Haas drivers? I'm sure Neo will not want to be getting involved with Kyle's chances of taking the title. Yeah, with that time loss, Metz has managed to pull away. They doubled that time as they came across the line to start the 2nd lap. So Davis falling away a bit, but now into the clutches of Haas. The teammates might be going side by side into turn 1. Neo takes the inside into 1. Will Kyle give way, or will they stick with side by side? They do indeed, but Kyle leaves the space. Oh, contact between the 2 Hasses, and then Robojeep clips the back of Neo as well. A little bit of damage for Robojeep with that contact between 2 Hasses. Now they're still side by side going into 4. This helps Davis so much, and Neo is finally through after battling his teammate, but his teammate is now under pressure from Y-Racer coming up to turn 6. Starting to fall away a little bit now, but what is the strategic call for Robojeep? How much damage did he sustain from that little collision that he had with the back of the Hasses as they were dueling side by side into turn 1? Hopefully not too much, as Y-Racer takes a tighter line into turn 10, excuse me, but doesn't think about any moves there. Runs very wide onto the grass, loses the rear end on the exit of turn 12. Keeps it nice and straight though, but he might become susceptible to an overtake from his mate of a Robojeep. Up the inside, Robojeep was thinking about it. He's got EV Armada on the back of him as well. EV Armada needs to keep his cool. He is on the harder compounded tyres compared to the rest of the guys in front of him, but now we go down this back straight up towards turn 4. Robojeep thinks about a move, gets out of the slip zone and dives back onto the racing line. For now he's got to defend from EV Armada in that Ferrari. I see a little bit of damage on that end plate. Runs very wide going into turn 6 and 7 and loses that position to Maddo, but Maddo runs very wide into 8 but holds on for now. Now will Robojeep fall even further back to Ahmed behind on those softer tyres. Neo now right on the back of Davis, coming up towards the start-finish line to start lap 4. Metz is starting to run away with it now. He's got a massive gap to Davis of 2.5. Davis might be struggling. He might be susceptible to an overtake now. Going into turn 1. Neo up the inside. Don't think Davis is going to fight it as Neo sets the fastest lap. And now Davis has to give way. Can he stick with him? Can he stick with Neo in the slipstream? Get the DRS. Basically make Neo carry him towards Metzer. They look like they're going to be going side by side into 4. Neo covered the inside line into the corner, but then moved back over sensibly onto the racing line and keeps P3. Davis has got to think now. He's got to keep with Neo, because we know how quick Neo can be and how quickly he will catch up to Metzer on those tyres. We'll see if Y-Racer can challenge anything on Kyle. Kyle needs to fall further back if this championship wants to go into the final Grand Prix. Or even Kyle needs to not finish for this championship to go into Abu Dhabi. Davis is keeping within that 1 second window. He will get DRS and have a little bit of slipstream going into the centre S's. But the battle to look at is Ahmed overtakes Robojic, but Robojic bails into the pits. A very early stop. It will be probably fitting on the medium compound tyres. He's going to have to do very well to stretch those to the end. We know he's very good on his tyre wear keeping, but his team are not there to serve him at the moment. What went on there? A little bit of a glitch, but he is out on a set of mediums. Davis is sticking with Neo, and Neo has got that gap down to Metzer to 1.6 seconds, 1.4 now. But Davis is starting to fall out of that 1 second window where DRS will be activated. So Davis is playing very well to stick with Neo, keep with that DRS, keep within some form of slipstream as they start to reel in Metzer on those probably worn super softs. Closest battle on track is EVR Matter on Y-Racer. Now up towards turn 1. Matter goes up the inside, gets the move done way before the braking zone of turn 1, and that's Matt up into 6th. No position gained in the F1, but position 6 in this race. Now can Y-Racer keep with Matter? He's going to have DRS this time round. Will he be able to keep DRS for the next lap or so? Because if he does, he'll be able to use Matt as a tow and draw in Kyle for the rest of this race. We'll see if Y-Racer can keep with him. EVR Matter is now within that 1 second window of Kyle. All these drivers that are on the super softs are probably going to start a little bit of tyre wear now compared to the 2 drivers that are on the softs. You'll be looking at trying to make these super softs go at least 11 laps in the race and then put onto a set of mediums to the end. Now can Matter put a move on Kyle? Put a little bit of pressure on him as well. Going into 4, he reels him in under half a second now is the gap between these 2 drivers. Y-Racer has fallen away now. It's out of that 1 second window and it's probably going to fall further back and won't be able to close in Kyle as Neo gets by Metzer in the middle sector way before anyway you'd think there'd be any moves, overtakes, and up into P2, but was already in P2 in F1. Now what can Neo do? Flexi's starting to struggle on those super softs. He did have a nice 2-second plus lead is now falling further back to Sam, who's now 1.6 seconds only ahead of Neo. See how quickly Neo can reel in that Sauber, but see how quickly Metzer can tag along with it, as Davis is starting to fall back a little bit, and Mata has got the move done on Kyle into turn 1. Very important for Mata on those on those softs. Doesn't want to get held up by the drivers that are starting to lose grip, increase their temperature. But it probably doesn't help Y-Racer behind, because it gives Kyle the tow for the rest of the lap, and even if he sticks within that 1 second window, it gives the DRS for him as well. So yeah, Metzer's sticking with Neo at the moment within that 1 second window. Can he do it for his team of Sunderland, as Robojeep retires from the race? Not too sure what happened there. Must have made a mistake on those mediums. We're right on board with Flexi to see if we can find that Toro Rosso somewhere. But yeah, Neo's starting to get within that 1 second as they come onto lap 10. This is the turning point for pit stops for these super soft runners. Not too sure whether that's a glitch or something, because it says Flexi, Neo, Metzer and Davis and Metzer were all on 8 lap old supers, and the rest are on 9 lap old tyres, so not too sure what's happened there. But yeah, Metzer's sticking with Neo, is within half a second of him, and Neo is now just over a second from Flexi, so this is starting to pull Metzer away from Davis, who is 1.7 seconds further adrift. But will there be any team orders? Probably not, because the F1 tier is settled and done. So I'm not too sure whether Davis will fall back and give Matt any chance of trying to catch Neo or Flex. I think Matt's made a mistake. He's lost half a second coming up to start finish straight. So when Metzer dives into the pits, he follows suit of all the other drivers as well. Flexi, Neo, Davis carries on, crucially. Manor will carry on because he's on those tyres as well, and no one else pits. Diori carries on, Kyle carries on. Kyle has to carry on because his teammate is currently in the pits at the moment. So Davis leads this race as Y-Racer gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. That will be through the Senna S's. And what can Davis do now? He has to push to try and get some form of undercut on the drivers that have made their pit stop. Metzer, for some reason, has come out on a fresh set of super softs. Flexi is on the softs and Neo is on the medium, so all 3 drivers that made their pit stops have all come out on different tyres. If it stays dry, Metzer will have to make another pit stop. If it is wet, Ahmed has made the move on Y-Racer. Y-Racer is in the wall, taking the gamble and going for the extra lap on these super softs. Has not really benefited him, and he is in the wall with front wing damage as well. Can he nurse that car back to the pits? He will be plumb last at the moment. Davis comes in. Did he have a great outlap? Not too sure. We'll keep an eye on Flexi, we'll keep an eye on Neo, but I think Metz is going to jump him by a long shot as Y-Racer decides to retire on those tyres, but it's very close. Coming out the pits, we can see Davis in the background, but Metzer might be mounting a charge on Neo on those super softs. He goes around the outside way before the braking zone of turn 4 and seals the deal. Back up into provisional P2 in this race, but sticks with P1 overall in F2. So from the looks of things, Y-Racer and Robojeep's title chances have been flung out the window with their both retirements. It's all down to Metzer and Davis now, if they can keep the title charge alive. but at the moment Kyle is leading the way on those very old super softs. 12 laps. He's not had a mistake like Racer did, as Flexi sets the fastest lap, but equally beaten by Metzer on those supers. So can Metzer reel in Flexi? He's keeping Neo behind him, but importantly Metzer is in front of Davis, but Davis came out on a set of softs. I'm pretty sure a set of softs would only go about 15-16 laps depending on your tyre wear, so he will have to make another stop. So he's following the 2-stop of Metzer, but he's going to be on the faster tyre come the end of this race. How far can Metzer push these supers? He needs to get to about lap 23, so 10 more laps to make the super softs fairly simple. As Kyle comes into the pits, our final runner on those super softs is finally in the pits, promotes Ahmed up to the lead of the F2 race. Evio Mala is still out in first as Neo sets the fastest lap time on those mediums. Here to say, he has been in the slipstream, has been gaining DRS from Metzer, but now will he mount a move on Big Metzer into turn 4? He's closing, but doesn't go for a dive, sticks with him. And where will he be able to make the move this time? Will he be able to recreate the move he made on him earlier in the middle sector? As we see Sam getting by Ahmed. Ahmed is going very wide. He's literally let Metzer through and Neo. You do realise you can battle these boys even if you are on the older tyres. You don't have to gift these positions, but can he now stick with this leading group of Metzer and Neo? He'll be looking to pit in the next couple of laps. Kyle did come out on set of medium, so he will be running to the end. He managed to push those super softs quite enough to be able to make the one-stop work onto the mediums. Matt goes out for another lap. Ahmed is out for another lap as well. He's falling away though, so those softs are way past their sell-by date and won't be doing much for him in these next couple of laps. But he is on now the same strategy as Davis, as Metzer, and he will be on the harder compound. He might be able to make some form of undercut work, but in the process he will be slower lap after lap as Davis starts to close him in. But Neo is still right on the back of Metzer going into the middle sector. Neo is still failing to make a move on Metzer going down the main straights with the help of DRS and probably higher fuel. With Davis is through on Ahmed into the middle sector as Neo now chases down Metzer, now up to start lap 16 into the slipstream with DRS wide open, puts the ERS into overtake. He's been saving that for the rest of the lap. Not close enough this time into turn 1, into the center S's. Which driver will get the better exit going onto this back straight into 4? I think Neo's going to do it this time. DRS wide open. He's going to have the inside into turn 4, later under the brakes, and gets the move done. Excellent stuff from the Haas driver. Moves himself up into P2 on track, but P2 in F1 anyway. As we saw Mata and Ahmed both making a pit stop, both coming out on the mediums. Mata, I think, has got to do some work now if he wants to get any more out of this. He will be sitting himself cleanly on the podium, but probably will want to get up to P2. It can be possible. Flexi does need to make another pit stop. I'm not too sure he'll be able to push those softs all the way to the end, but the gap between himself and the leader is only 14 seconds, So if Flexi was to make another pit stop, Evie Armada would come out in front. Now on to lap 17, almost at the halfway point in this Grand Prix. We have Metzer still within the closest battle on track is Metzer to Neo, which is within a second. Oh, and Metzer has hit the wall. What has happened there? He must have had a snap of oversteer and lost the rear on the exit of 4 and hit the wall. He is gone at the moment. So from the looks of things, Kyle is going to be crowned RF2 champion. Absolute bottle jobs from the speed drivers of Metzer, Juarez and Robojeep here at Brazil, and essentially gifting Kyle the championship here and now. But it's up to Davis now. He is in front of Kyle at the moment, but he needs Kyle to not finish for him to have any chance at being involved in this title race. Just have a quick look at the standings. Yeah, Davis would need to finish in first, which he currently is at the moment, which is given 25 points. That would put him up to 263 points. That's only 7 points shy. If Kyle was to finish second, which is what he is doing at the moment, I think it would go all the way to the end. We would be having a title shootout between Davis and Kyle if it was to stay as it is. Davis needs to pump in the fastest lap to get that bonus point. So it's not all over yet. Davis needs to keep it on track and does need to take the victory. He is currently 13, 14 seconds ahead of Kyle's with the extra pit stop needed. So he should pit. He'll come out 6 seconds behind Kyle, and then he'll have to put on a charge to overtake him. So yeah, the championship isn't over yet. It's going to go down to fastest lap. It's going to go down to pole. If Davis gets the fastest lap, we'll have a quick look at the fastest laps at the moment. Davis has a 1 minute 10.6 and Kyle has a 1 minute 11.3. So what Kyle needs to do now, if he is knowing the situation, he needs to, if he's not going to get any, he will get lower. Ahmed needs to finish in front of Kyle for Davis to have any chance, because it will be 25 points difference with 27 points remaining for Davis to snatch the title away. Davis is so far going to be getting the fastest lap, so that'll be 24 point gap and 27 points remaining. If Kyle was to fail to finish, then it just goes down to the final race to who finishes first. If it wasn't for Metzer failing to finish, he could have been involved in this. He was currently leading the way. He would have closed the gap to 4 points, but then he would have then Kyle would have got 15, so it would have been 19 point gap, excluding any bonus points for fastest laps and pole position. But yeah, Davis has currently got the bonus point for qualifying as well, so that helps. So if he could get the full Monty here, he could get fastest lap, qualify, pole position, and take the victory here at Brazil. Do it for his hero of Ayrton Senna here at his own home track. Just 6 drivers remaining on track. The closest battle we can see is going to be between Flexi and Neo. Neo starting at the back is on 10 lap old mediums. Those softs that are on Flexi's car are probably going to be worse for wear at the moment. So Neo might have done it once again and stolen away another victory. Such a quick driver is Neo, and will probably run away. If he had been here since the start, he would have ran away with this championship more than likely. Just about how much pace he has. Him and Matt Tibler's probably been battling all the way. I think Neo would have tipped him come to when it was needed. Flexi goes defensive into one. Very close between these two drivers. Neo almost running into the back of that Sauber, but Flexi holds on just for now. But will he be able to hold on going into turn 4? Neo gets a fantastic run on the exit of turn 3. He's going to have the inside into turn 4. Brakes later and gets the job done nice and cleanly. And takes the lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Flexi now in second. Will need to make another pit stop. But can he stick with Neo coming through the rest of this lap? Keep within that slipstream when it was required. I don't think Ahmed is going to play any part in helping Davis to overtake Kyle, unless Kyle pits again and wants to pump in that fastest lap just to take away that bonus point. But I'm not too sure whether it'll be worth it in Kyle's eyes. He might be able to overtake Ahmed if he was to make the extra pit stop. The gap is 13.3 seconds between these two drivers. He should be able to make up those 6 or 7 seconds that are required on a set of supers with the pace that we're seeing from Ahmed at the moment. Yeah, Davis is coming up to that point where he needs to push now for at least, we'll say 4 more laps to make those super softs that he probably will put on more durable at the end of his stint. But we'll see what Flexi can do. Can he be involved in this bunch that are going to be Davis, Evie Almada and possibly Kyle? Davis at the moment has a 16-second lead over Kyle, so he will, if he was to pit, he probably will pit. He will drop behind Kyle, but he will be on more than likely 2 softer compounded tyres in the final stint, so he should easily be able to claw that time back. But he needs to be very careful and not do what Metzer did, not do what Y-Race has done. And when you get to that point of those old super softs, keep on pushing, because you just lose the rear and end up in the barrier, and that will just gift Kyle this championship. Flexi, although, is keeping his own between himself and Neo, still within that 1 second window on the softer tyre, but on probably really old softs, 13 lap old, so he's keeping the pace there with Neo on those old tyres. I think Neo should be able to take these mediums to the end. If not, I think he'll comfortably come out in first once again and take victory on a set of supers. So 12 laps to go, or should I say 12 laps now to go in this Grand Prix. When does Davis pit for those supers, or does he go for another set of softs to make them comfortably last, but they won't be as quick as it would be putting on a set of super softs? The gap to Kyle is still around that 16-second mark. Needs to be wary. He will need to overtake Kyle, but he gets a 3-second time penalty. What are you doing, Davis? That is not going to help you. You're going to have to find 7 seconds now in your final stint, unless you just try and drag the, I'm not too sure whether you're able to drag these softs out another 11 laps. What I would do now, just to save yourself, is to make a pit stop onto another set of supers, another set of softs should I say, and go to the end on those, because the tyres will be better at the end. You'll be able to push a bit more, and you will, as he does bail into the pits. Very sensible getting that after getting that penalty. Doesn't speed in the pit lane, sensible once again. What tyres does he come out on? Ferrari boys are there ready for him just about, and it is a set of supers. He thinks he can take those supers 11 laps. He does have that 3-second time penalty. He does come out behind Kyle. Kyle's going through the end centre S's now. So Kyle is in front. Kyle will be crowned champion if it stays like this. But Davis will be more than likely looking at setting the fastest lap. And he's got 2.5 seconds to catch on Kyle. 2.5 seconds in 10 laps. Should be very simple for Davis to do. But he needs to find another 3 seconds. So that's 5.5 seconds he needs to find in the next 10 laps. So that's 2 seconds a lap. Needs to be 2 seconds a lap quicker than Kyle, which should be fairly simple. I think I'll have a quick look. To see what lap times Kyle is setting on those mediums. He's very consistent, but he did push a new personal best on those mediums of a 1 minute 11.2. So he is now starting to push, is Kyle, and he did go purple for himself in the first sector, but he's very slow in the second sector. So yeah, he's doing 1 minute 11, mid 1 minute 11s. So what Davis has to do is start pushing in some 1 minute 9s. But he has already caught up to Kyle 2 seconds this lap already. He's now within 6/10. He's in the DRS. He's in the slipstream of Kyle going down to turn 4. It only took him 1 lap to do. Will he be making any dive into 4? He doesn't. Holds back very sensibly. Now into the next section of corners up towards turn 6. Needs to buy his time. Doesn't want to get any damage. What he needs to do is find out where. Oh, tries to go around the outside into turn 8. But was late onto the brakes, but gets a better run out of turn 9 as Ahmed gets a penalty himself. Now it's going to go around the outside into turn 10, now into turn 11. They're going to be side by side, and Davis has got the move done, but does he? Kyle is going to have the outside. Oh, and there's contact between the two, and Kyle, what were you doing there, fella? That is going to be under the stewards for desync. There was a little bit of a swipe from Kyle, and the desync sent Major Davis into the wall, and Davis has retired and gives Ahmed up 2 seconds. Bit of controversy there now for Kyle, for himself and Davis, as there are only 5 runners left in this race. Flexi made that pit stop onto a fresh set of supers, and now has a chance to reel in Evie Armada. We saw how quickly Davis reeled in Kyle. Can Flexi do the same and reel in Mata on those old mediums? What we've got to look out for is, will Neo pit? Not too sure what his tyre wear is like, but he has got a comfortable gap of 16 seconds to Mata. Two and a half 2.1 seconds now is the gap to Flexi, so he's already closed in a whole second this lap. He's gaining and gaining every single corner. As he gets a penalty for running very wide of turn 4. He's reeled in. Kyle has let Ahmed through. Not too sure why, but then again, Kyle will still get champion. Still be champion, no matter what. You might as well you'll be gifting Ahmed the victory, but you'll still be crowned champion. So can Flexi make a move on EV Armada in these dying laps? He should be able to. He's on the fresher tyres, quicker tyres and less worn tyres, but he's got a great exit out of turn 13. He's going to go up the inside of Mada, and Mada runs very wide. Going to get back into the toe, but which guy has more straight line speed? As Flexi sets the fastest lap, 1 minute 9.2 on those supers, and takes away the second place from EV Armada very quickly actually. And now what can Mada do in these dying laps? Can he stick with Flexi? He needs to, because Flexi will probably wear out those tyres quite quickly if he starts pumping in fast laps. I'm not too sure Flexi will be able to reel in Neo. That's 17 seconds, and with only 6 laps to go, I think this victory is going to go straight to Neo and Haas, and Haas are going to claim the constructors as well after another double points finished for Haas, with Ferrari only getting the one finisher at the moment. EV Armada now starting to fall away from the charging Alpha of Flexi. But how quickly will those tyres start to die off? How quick is Sam going to be pushing them? I think it's been very comfortable for Neo. There's been a little bit of a charge. He did start at the very back. He had to get through some slower drivers, such as the F2, and even his fellow F1 drivers as well. The one stop has worked for him quite clearly, starting on the softs, starting on the supers, and switching to the mediums for his final stint. The one stop has paid out for him compared to the super stop of Flexi. The one stop hasn't worked as well for EV Armada compared to Flexi, although Flexi did start right at the front of the grid and had the car's gap between himself and Mada, so Mada couldn't really put a charge on to try and even close in Flexi on his final stint. Ahmed, very quiet race for him, starting down the back as well. Opting for the one stop, same as Neo, and I would say is gifted himself. Kyle has gifted him the victory here at Brazil. But yeah, Ahmed looks like if he keeps it on track, he will be taking victory once again for Mercedes, and closes in Toro Rosso in the constructors. They will be equal on points. They'll be fighting out for 5th in the constructors going into Abu Dhabi. But with both titles looking to be wrapped up, I'm not too sure what Abu Dhabi will bring. Will they decide to bring on the sprinklers and put it in a full wet race just to see what carnage can unfold? Or will all drivers, or will it be a reverse grid and have the slowest start at the front and the quickest at the back, and see what Neo can do once again? Yeah, on that charge from Flexi, he's managed to close in 4 seconds to Neo, but nowhere near any chance of taking a victory here today. EV Armada is falling away a bit more as well. 17 lap old mediums, 4 seconds behind Flexi. Could make a pit stop onto a fresh set of super softs and pump in a fastest lap time. He won't be getting any more points other than that. Probably try and steal it away from Sam would be an idea for him. He doesn't decide to come into the pits now, so he's probably just going to bring it home for Ferrari. Kyle on those mediums, very old mediums, is bringing it home as well to take himself the championship. Only 3 laps to go, and I mentioned this before. Neo, very quick. There's a reason why he's in the top tiers for whatever league he decides to race in, because he is an outstanding driver, very quick, and it just shows it from his performances here in VSL. He's consistently quick, consistently good at managing his tyres as well. And but he needs to work a little bit on his track limits. He does, I think, have a penalty. Have a quick gander at incidents. Yeah, we see there penalty for Sam, penalty for Ahmed, penalty for Neo. Yeah, the Neo has penalty for Davis. So yeah, a few drivers with penalties. Flexi has 9 seconds worth of penalties, so Matt might be able to take second place away based on penalties. Keep within 9 seconds, Evio Mada, and you will take second place from Flexi. As Flexi gets another 3-second time penalty, that's 12 seconds worth of penalties. So Evio Mada, bring it home and you will take second place. So I think Sam is just pushing now to try and make it look like not like a massive victory for Neo, but coming around on the penultimate lap, or about to start the final lap for Neo, I'm going to give our driver of the day, I think for F1, I'm going to give it to Neo after starting from the back. He deserves driver of the day in F1, but F2 I'm going to give it to Ahmed. He did keep himself nice and clean away from the battles, and due to the either driver errors and desync and incidents between the other F2 drivers, he's come away with a victory and gained 4 positions from his starting position. So we're going to ride on board with Neo as he comes round this final lap here at Brazil, here at Interlagos. Rain didn't come, so I did get told a little bit of a lie about the weather, but it still proved to be a decent set of racing between most of these drivers. Bit of controversy between Kyle and Davis. That'll be might go to the stewards. We might see what happens there. Will Kyle's points be taken away as Neo comes across the line to take victory here at Interlagos? Fantastic drive from him. Sam will be on track, will be taking second, but because of penalties, I think Evio Amada's going to snatch it away from him. Will it go across the line? He does take second place on that one-stop strategy because of penalties for Flexi. Ahmed as my F2 driver of the day, coming round the final, up towards the final sector now, running very low on fuel but pushing EOS all the way. Comes round the final corner and will be taking victory for F2 in that Mercedes. Fantastic drive from him, and Kyle will be crowned our F2 champion, depending on how the stewards see the incident between himself and Davis, but could be crowned our F2 champion. And congratulations to Haas as well, as they take the constructors from Ferrari, who were in second. So there we have it then. That rounds off the penultimate race in this first season of VSL. Neo taking victory once again on the top of the podium, with Ibiamada taking second, being one of the only drivers other than Kyle to not get a penalty. With Flexi getting 12 seconds worth of penalty, knocks him down to third. Ahmed takes victory in F2 with Kyle on second, with with Davis, Metza and Waireta all failed to finish. Bit of controversy is going to come out into the chat later on after, but yeah, but all championships seem to have been wrapped up right now. Join us next week for the final race in Abu Dhabi. Not too sure what will be in store for that race, but I've been your commentator, Peter, and we will see you all next week for the final race of season 1. Goodbye.